What's up, y'all? It's Izzy and welcome back to another video in the So You Think You Want to Build a Skoolie series. And so I wanted to be outside today in my bus, but alas, things don't work out again and everyone and their grandma decided to mow today. So I'm back in my room and I need to apologize for Laurel for cutting her filter off again, but I think she'll be okay for just a smidgen, just a little bit of time while I get this out of the way. So today's video won't just apply to those of you guys out there going crazy and building a school bus, but also people out there who are building a van, a tiny home, perhaps you're renovating an RV and you come across these things and you're like, dang, I didn't realize it was taking up all that space for this specific reason. But, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into the video before I lose track of time and all sense of reason. So, first and foremost, when you're designing your bus, you do not want to forget utilities. And by utilities, I mean places that you're going to put your electrical components and your water components. So, this might be something that slips your mind, because unless you were like building a house or something and designing your own house, or maybe, building a bus, you're not really going to think about like, oh, I have to have storage for electrical panels and water heaters and all those things. So this is what I'm telling you now. Know that you need that space. Now, it doesn't have to be a lot of space. In my build, it's underneath my bed in one place for my electrical, and my water heater is going underneath my sink. Now, the space that you provide will depend on this kind of system that you're setting up. So you need to kind of take into account of that. Are you going to have an off-grid system or just an on-grid system? Both goes hand in hand towards electrical and water. If you're not hooked up all the time, you're going to of course need some battery storage, so you're going to need to make space for that, whether that be inside the bus or under the bus. If you are going to be off-grid, you need to have storage for water, and if you are going to be in cooler climates, you might want to consider moving your tanks inside, so you're going to need to make space for freshwater tanks inside your bus, not necessarily the gray water tanks, but at least the freshwater tanks inside the bus, and for a pump for that, because if you're not connected to city water, you don't have pressure, so you need a place for a pump to pump that water through. And then electricity, your system all depends on like what you're going to use. You're definitely, if you're setting it up like an RV system, you're definitely going to need space for either an RV panel or a AC and DC panel, along with a converter to convert the electricity from 12 volt over to 110. If this all sounds like Greek to you, I will talk more about it in my electrical video in detail, and those will be coming later. But there's a lot of different facets and big like things that need to be put places, and it's not something you can think about last minute and like stow away in your corner. Like, you really need to plan a space for this to be in. Okay, number 2 is appliances, and this may seem like, duh, I need room for appliances, like, yeah, my refrigerator and my microwave, or my refrigerator and my stovetop, blah blah blah. But no, like, I'm talking about, like, you need to make sure you have storage for your favorite coffee pot, for the toaster you might want to bring along. Are you bringing along a toaster oven? If you're like me, you're not even going to have like a cooktop and an oven stationary all the time, so you need to make sure you have storage for those things when they're not out on your counter space. And are you going to have like other appliances that you might not like think of right off the bat? Do you want a washer and dryer combo in the future? Are you going to go with like one of those RV washer and dryers that are like travel washers and spin dryers that you can put? You need to make space for that beforehand, so you know like where it's going, that it has a place, so it won't just be like an afterthought later of, oh, well, I hope it fits in this storage cubby that I made for my winter clothes. Well, wait, where are my winter clothes going now? I think my point's been fetched. Like, it's an easy concept. I don't know why I'm over explaining everything. Number 3, laundry basket. I don't know how many times that this one's just slipped my mind. Like, I've just been thinking about it and then I stopped thinking about it. You'll see in my designing video, like, I have a lot of multi-purpose furniture, especially in the back of my bus. The back of my bus where my bed is a workstation and my bedroom. And designing the facets of this workstation to work with all my needs, housing utilities, and all of the things that I like my hobbies, like I like to enjoy having storage for those things. Several times I have forgotten that I'm supposed to be working a clothes basket in there, or a laundry basket in there. I don't know how many times I've forgotten that detail. Needless to say, I haven't forgotten it since. Like, I wrote myself a note when I was demoing the bus, because I knew I would forget something like that, and I did. But thankfully, now I will never forget it again. And the next one, I'm moving on to trash, and I did not list this, but I'm gonna list it with this one. So trash and cleaning supplies. So that means like your mop and your broom, your vacuum, whatever you plan to use to clean the bus, bigger appliances, items. Make sure you have design space for that. I think it's really easy to overlook having a trash can. At least for me. I mean, that might be not a problem for you. You might be like, of course I need a trash can in my kitchen. I know I need a trash can in my kitchen. But in your house, the trash can in your kitchen is sitting at the end of your countertops, and you look in your bus and you're like, wait, there's really not an end to my countertops. It's all like one big connected space, and I can't set it in the middle of the floor. Exactly. So, you know, you need to find a solution of where you're going to put your trash can. Most often than not, it's usually in a cabinet. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to put my nice big air fryer under the sink, and then you're like, wait, no, I have to put a trash can under the sink. So we gotta rethink that. And then my last and final tip is you gotta think about the chitlins you're bringing along. So your children and your pets. Now I'm sure if you're bringing children along, you won't be able to forget about these things. But as I was writing down the stuff for pets, I was like, hey, this kind of applies to kids too. And I don't think that people would admit it, but you know, it's kind of like it goes hand in hand. So pets are like kids. They need space too. They need storage for their things, so you got to take into account where you're actually going to store their food at. This is a point in time where you may want to sit down and crunch the numbers and say, okay, am I going to continue to buy their food in bulk and have to find places to store their food in bulk, or am I going to buy a little bit less and maybe get a little bit less better of a deal? The same thing goes if you like have a cat, where's there's litter going to go? Am I going to be able to work in some sort of like climbing mechanism for them, like some sort of cat tree to keep them preoccupied in a small space and give them exercise? They need hidey holes so that they feel safe and secure. If you have a bigger dog, where are you going to put their crate to lock them in while you're gone? Different various elements like that is things that you should consider. Different elements like that I feel like in a normal home you would just be like, okay, well I can set this beside something, or I can just pop this up here. But in a tiny home, you really need to have a dedicated space for that, because if not, it's always going to be in the way and you're going to be tripping over it. And that's no fun for anyone. So that is all I have for you guys in way of things that you should not forget. If there are things that you may have forgotten when you were building your Skoolie build, or things that you did that didn't really make sense in terms of like, okay, I have to make space for this, please be sure to leave those down below. Or if I kind of like said something and it's triggered in your brain like, oh my gosh, I would forget about this because you said that, then leave those down below too, and let's create our beautiful Skoolie pod community down here in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe to stay tuned for my next video coming out, and to see all my future videos where I'm actually posting me building things and seeing things if you want to see my bus and what I'm doing hands-on. And I'll always have these videos to kind of break down and explain a little bit more about what I'm doing if you're curious as to what I'm doing, because not everyone who's watching my build videos wants to actually know all the boring details of all the things and stuff. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.